biggest pay raises went to black workers, young people, and low-wage earners, according to Wall Street Journal. Black workers, young workers, and low-income earners saw the largest pay increases in 2022 due to a tight labor market and high inflation. Median weekly earnings for all workers were 7.4% high year over year at the end of 2022. The median raise for black Americans was 11.3%, and weekly pay workers between 16 to 24 years old rose by 10%. The bottom 10% of wage earners saw a pay increase of 10%. These pay increases were a welcome relief for those groups who have experienced decades of pain in the labor market. However, wage gains and a broader inflation has begun to cool, and job losses are forecasted for 2023. The rate of raises between workers 16 to 24 and other age groups widened in 2022. White and Asian workers continue to earn more than any other racial groups. Okay. Any thoughts on this article, Tom?
Well, first of all, it certainly goes against the narrative, doesn't it? Evil corporations don't do anything for anybody. And while you can look back at inflation, you can look at inflation over time and say, wow, it should be higher, it should be this. This seems to be a positive point of progress. That's what I see here. I see a positive point of progress. More progress needs to be done. Things still have to, I think, move forward. But to say that, what you're led to believe by mainstream media is that evil corporations are keeping wages down, they're doing this and this and this, and yet there's data points that are coming out here that says some of the people that most needed raises, especially during inflation, actually receive raises. I mean, these are double-digit percents.
I look at it actually a different way. I think this just comes down to the minimum wage debate. I mean, what are we talking about here? These are young people, low-wage earners, black workers. I think at least 2 out of 3 for sure. This comes down to minimum wage. This whole fight for 15 that's been transpiring for the last 5 years. Now they're talking about minimum wage, $20 certain places. And then, minimum wage in New York is a lot different than Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I think a lot of this is the minimum wage debate. And then, the minimum, I think if you're a worker and you're getting $12 an hour or $10 an hour and you're fighting for 15, I get it. And then you're fighting for 15 for 20, I get it. But think about the business owner, the small business. I mean, you could talk about this all day, Pat. How do you make payroll sometimes? How do you, and then there's other parts of the payroll that this is not my wheelhouse, but workman's comp type stuff, right? Or payroll tax, these types of things that as a small business owner, these are things that you need to be considering. And that the average worker is just like, fuck it, I want $20 an hour. That's where I got. It's 40 grand now. You just went from $10 an hour.
All it does when you raise the minimum wages is it helps the big companies. It hurts the small companies. Let me give you an idea of what happened with capitalism. This is why capitalism works, and this is why too much government intervention gets in the way. Watch this. Watch what the market does. What is the minimum wage in America today?
It's like $7 or $8.
It's $7.25 or some number like that. Okay, where is it going to by July? Do you know the number?
Where it's going?
July is going to $9.50 an hour by July of this year. Okay. Do you know right now what you get paid if you work at Walmart?
An hour.
What's their minimum wage if
15.
you got $12 an hour?
$12.
Okay.
Do you know what it is at Amazon and Target?
20?
$15 an hour.
Wow.
Okay.
So guess what Walmart's been having a hard time doing? Attracting people, hiring people. So Walmart sat there and said, dude, we cannot be giving our minimum wage at $12. Walmart just announced starting wage to anybody they hire is officially $14, which, by the way, it's still not $15, which is Target and Amazon. So if a person wanted to go get a job and you're a 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid, 20, you're like, dude, I just need a job that pays me good to start off with. You have to choose between Walmart and you have to choose between Target and Amazon. Where are you going to?
Whoever pays more.
Yeah,
Target and Amazon pay buck more.
Yeah.
So you know what happens? Who takes a hit?
The company.
The little
Walmart.
guys.
No. Walmart takes a hit here. You're right.
Yeah.
100%. But here, the point I'm trying to make to you is the following: whether the government raises the minimum wage from $7.25 to $9.50 has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with this because they still have to pay. They're still way above whatever the minimum wage is. However, the Walmarts of the world can afford $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. The Amazon and the Targets of the world can afford $15 an hour. The small little shop in Kansas, who's been there for 42 years, business was passed down from mom and dad to them, they can't afford to go to $15 an hour. Right across the street, there's a Walmart, opens up, okay? Kids out of high school whose someone's son comes and starts working for you. Now, that guy's father says, listen, instead of working for Joey's little market that he has, go to Walmart right across the street. Joey only pays $11 an hour. Such and such pays $15 an hour. Go to them. You lose. You're going to take a hit. So, again, one side, capitalism works. Market dictates wages. Government getting involved doesn't work. And if you do force people to pay a higher minimum wage, the small business owners that produce 49% of all the jobs in America take a massive hit. You cannot do that. Okay, you cannot do that.
I'll tell you one thing I've learned from you is essentially what the big guys will say to grandstand versus what actually happens. So if you're Jeff Bezos or who's the new CEO of Amazon, Andy Jazzy Jeff, and well, all workers deserve $15 an hour, and I totally advocate bumping that up to $16. Workers have rights. Let's get behind our workforce, because they're saying that publicly, grandstanding, but they know they just took Tommy's Toy Store out of business.
Yep.
And Billy's Boutique out of business, and Patty Pat Cakes out of it. Like all these small little businesses that you're talking about in Kansas, I can't do $15 an hour. I can't do $18 an hour. I can barely do $12. And so on the surface, the Andy Jazzies of the world are going to come out there and grandstand. But low key, it's because they're putting any small competitors out of business, and that's how they develop their monopoly.
Okay, let's do a little math. Let's do a little fast case study. Remember when New York, which goes back about 7 years ago, said, hey, we're going to do McDonald's and all these places, and they specifically called out fast food, and they said $15 an hour. Remember that? Remember that whole thing? Mm-hmm. Okay. And you remember what showed up, I think it was a year and a half later? Kiosks. 2 ordering kiosks showed up, and 2 counter people were no longer needed. Okay, now watch this.
You're saying order your food at the kiosk to tap it in rather than ordering it at the counter.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's 2 people at the counter and 2 kiosks now at a mid-sized McDonald's. Watch what happens. The 2 people are now up to $15 an hour. The 2 kiosks, I pay them electricity. So now I have 2 people, that's $30 an hour, but I have 4 working units. Divide 30 by 4. $7.50.
Yep.
Wow.
Now my total labor cost to take orders is $7.50 an hour because I have 2 humans and 2 kiosks. What also happens is the large part of the market solves problems that politicians cause. And if you invoke costs, the innovation is going to come from innovative companies that are trying to solve that because they're ultimately trying to be profitable and make a return for the shareholders. And that's a great, simple little case study on how McDonald's was forced to pay $7.50 an hour, but the true labor cost for 4 counter workers was forced to be paying $15 an hour for 2 humans, which is $30 over an hour. But they have 2 kiosks working. Divide by 4 is back to $7.50 an hour.
By the way, such a great case example because we've all been to Walmart where it's like there's self-checkout over here.
Yeah.
Or you go to Walgreens or CVS, it's like now I'm the bagger. Now it's my job to bag everything. It's because when you start raising the prices and they start
losing people,
lowering the amount of employees, they're going to make you do the bagging
100%.
Customer because now there's half the employees there and now you're incurring that cost.
Yeah.
Now I got to become a professional bag boy because they're raising the minimum wage.
What's wrong with being a bag red wind Dixie?
Nothing.
Well, you did.
Nothing.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm offended right now.
Yeah, and Pat, you know what?
Listen, 170 million ain't what it used to be. You got to go get a job.
You guys went a different route on the story, which was great. You know what I got from it when I read biggest pay raises went to black workers?
Yeah.
All we've been told for God knows how long from the left is this is a racist country. We're systemically racist. From Pete Buttigieg saying bridges, and this is a fact, bridges are racist. From Stacey Abrams saying asking IDs for voting is so racist. That's a great headline to see that we're not as racist as they're saying. If black people are getting these biggest pay raises, then I guess the left, they might be a little bit wrong about how racist we are as a country.
Need that. But they need that problem to,
of course,
pin us against each other. That's
big time. But that's a great headline.
No,
that's amazing.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.